to a computer. All right, so let's get into it. Now, if you are brand new on this call and you have no idea who this crazy American guy is, this is Mike Miles, one of the founders of Tradehouse. So we all pretty much exist because of him. He is the CEO of Forex. No episodes like that this year, please, Mike. But guys, if you don't know who I am, I know there's a couple of new people on here. I'm SJ. I've been mentored by Mike since the dawn of time. I've been with this company since 2016 March, coming up to my 6th year anniversary. How fucking loud is that? Time's just been gone. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I just realized mine is like, wow. Actually, I'm gonna like check. It could be next week, I think. Hold on. I'm going to look that up while I'm sorry.
March the 2nd. So if you are brand new and you don't really know, what this call is about, so I'm a psychologist by, degree, I suppose. I've got 7 diplomas, 1 degree. I was a professional student for a little while. And I just did things until I found something I liked. And that's what I really love about trading. So did psychology to understand my mother, and that didn't work out very well. But it's paid off really well with trading. No one got that joke then. Thank you. When's your anniversary, Mike? And then let's get into it.
Yep, January 15th. Next Saturday. Yeah.
How cool.
Next Saturday for me.
Amazing. Well, guys, you've got 2 OGs right here. Mike was the first educator on this platform. So you guys have direct access to him as much as you do me. So whatever you guys need, our motto is closed mouths, don't get fed. Okay. Now to kick this off, in our Discord, I am going to be posting, so the second to the last quarter of last year, you guys hashtagged the shit out of Blue Dragon, okay? And that equated over 5,000 USD in donations to the charity that was dealing with sex trafficking, which is phenomenal, okay? And so I'm going to put up a post in our Discord, and I want you guys to choose the first charity that we choose to help this first quarter. So we'll put that up. But I was just chatting to Mike super quickly. We chatted about 10 minutes ago. He's like, what are we doing tonight? I'm like, I don't even know. But I was listening to this podcast, and it wasn't a trading specific podcast, but it is about business and skill sets. I had drove 3,000 kilometers, so I had a lot of audio time. And what I really took away from this is that, I want to frame the call tonight with, if you want to be a consistent trader, the fundamental change that we need to make is a mindset shift, okay? So on tonight's call, I want to discuss, dedication and how it's going to make you stand out as a trader and what that means, okay? But first, a little bit of SJ tough love. What's a call without SJ tough love and some sore bum holes? You're never going to make it as a trader if you don't take this seriously. Period. Okay, this is not hobby money. This is a business. Trading is a business. And, wishing and hoping and doing it here and doing it there without actually doing the work isn't going to get you anywhere. Okay? Trading is a tough business, and it's tough because you're confronted with adversity on a continuous basis every single day. So that is the name of the game. Okay? So to prevent trading from becoming a burden to becoming a frustration, right? What I took away from this podcast was trading has to be a game. Okay, they spoke about business, but I'm relaying it in the trading sense. And I know Mike's going to have a shitload to say about this because of his professional gaming side. So I'd be interested to hear that. But what my take on this is trading has to be a game, okay? And a game that one wishes to play well and be really good at, okay? So in the game of trading, right? When you think about it like that, like this simple shift in your approach, I think will truly transform your mindset, okay? Because when you think of a game, you're generally pretty happy to play it. You're willing to perform the tasks that you need to do that are part of the game. You follow your rules and you do whatever the fuck it takes to win. Yes or yes? okay? Games usually bring us joy, bring us pleasure, okay? But they also challenge us in a really good way. So if we think of athletes, why are they so good at what they do, okay? Why are they so good, guys? It's because they continuously show up. They do the work. They, Kobe Bryant did get up, not anymore, unfortunately, RIP, gets up at 3 a.m. and goes and shoots hoops. Do you think he does that because he loves getting up at 3 a.m.? No, he does that because he wants to be the very fucking best at basketball. Okay, that's why he did that stuff. So with any game, developing your skill is going to take time. Okay, and the thing with trading is no one's a natural at it. Like I always say, no one came out of the womb being a really great trader, okay, being a great business owner or anything like that. It was a skill that's been developed over time, okay? And this stuff runs kind of counterintuitive to what human nature is all about, okay? Because, this is a particular game, it's a challenging game, and you have to work really hard to get really good at it. But once you have it, guys, you've got the keys to that financial freedom. You've got the keys to the Lambos, okay? And this is where the importance of mindset comes into the equation. One of the most frequently asked questions, I'm sure Mike gets it all the time, is when a new trader starts, what do we focus on the most, technicals or mindset? And my answer is you shouldn't lack in either. You shouldn't be lacking in either. In the checklist, we've given you trading specific personal development. But when it comes to personal development, I'm very big on skill-based personal development. Okay, not just, reading a book because reading a book is like, what am I actually going to get from the book, right? But when it comes to the importance of mindset, let's bring it back to the very first thing I said at the beginning of this call. You will never make it as a trader if you don't take trading seriously, okay? You'll need to dedicate literally 24 hours a day to becoming good at this game. I kid you not. And when I say 24 hours a day, okay, you have to come up with and develop new attitudes, new qualities. You must teach your nervous system how to relax, okay, when faced with adversity. You must gain better control over your instinctual responses, okay? So when I say 24 hours a day, I'm not talking about being on the charts 24 hours a day. I want you to look around in your life, okay? I want you to look at situations recently that maybe you didn't handle very well, okay? Your reactions to situations, how you react when there's an absolute muppet on the road, okay? Do you get angry? Do you get frustrated? Do you get impatient when there's traffic, okay? Do you see the smallest of things as the biggest inconveniences? Because these are all, think about how you go about your life and see where you have your biggest reactions to. Because with trading, we always say this as well, the charts are just a mirror of you. Okay, so when you are developing yourself, it can be done on both, your psychological, but then your physiological as well. Okay, so on a psychological level, what's going to help you the most is your awareness of the things that you react to, okay? And a shift from that, a negative outlook to a positive outlook is so necessary in this space, okay? So when we say the psychological level, I know Mike's going to go down a rabbit hole with this, but if we think about, meditating, whatever that looks like for you, journaling, right? You must be constantly be thinking about improving your mental state, improving your responses to things that gives you, overall peace, right? My drive up was a fucking journey, right? What was it, Monday? And Chip's ute broke down in 39, 40 degree weather. I had 2 dogs and a cat. Yeah, we were fine, previously that would have been I would have gone off my friggin' nut, but I didn't. And the one thing that I realized about myself yesterday is trading has taught me composure. When things don't go my way, I'm cool as a freaking cucumber. So think about how you react in other, situations in life, okay? So for example, if someone yells at you, you should practice staying calm and composed, right? When something undesirable happens, if you're the kind of person that just, blame game, maybe you take a step back and just get a different, perspective, I suppose. When you're waiting in line at the grocery store or there's traffic, use a moment to practice patience, okay? When you have to make a decision with, an uncertain outcome, which is literally trading, you need to assess your probabilities. You need to determine your risk and reward, Okay, all of this stuff, if your mother, your brother, your dad, your girlfriend, anyone pisses you off, a stranger online, instead of mindlessly saying things that, blowing up and doing and saying things that you're going to regret later, take a deep breath and say, does this need this type of reaction? Do I need to respond in this type of way? Yeah, composure is huge. I think literally yesterday, that's been one of the biggest things trading has taught me is composure, because this is a big game of probabilities. You don't like you could follow your trading plan to an absolute T, and it may work out, it may not. Okay, it may work out, but how you handle that is going to be the biggest difference. Okay, so on a physiological level, get some fucking sleep. Okay, exercise, right? Drink more water, eat healthier, stop eating shitty food. Okay, do 5 to 10 minutes. I talk about this all the time of breathing exercises. I do one every single time before the charts, and I do a brain training activity before I get on the charts. All of that just makes me perform so much better. So that's what I mean when I say you're going to be dedicated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not just go to your job, do this, chart time. That's not how this works. So, Mike, I'd love to know, with your gaming background, how can you, what is your take on treating trading like a game? That if someone wants to get really good at it, they have to want to, but they have to be willing to do the work, but they have to take it seriously.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My headphone just tripped out out of nowhere. Okay, but you guys can hear me. So for anybody that doesn't, that might not know, me and one of the other founders of the Tradehouse, Jordan, we met by being rivals in the game that we played for years, Halo, all of them. It wasn't just one, it was all of them. And we took it even to the competitive level. I mean, we grew up in the same city and we were rivals, for the longest time when we were kids and growing up. But then eventually, of course, we realized that we were better together than playing against one another. And, to speed it up a little bit, we eventually, of course, turned gaming into a career. And the thing that is different, and it's kind of funny now because there's a new Halo out. For anybody that might not know, there's a brand new Halo that everybody's playing. And it's funny because you could definitely tell the people that are not familiar with Halo. Now, speaking to everybody that, again, might not understand what these references are, the easiest way that I can put it is that the new generation of gaming today, which is, well, for shooters, it's Apex Legends, it's Fortnite, Warzone and Call of Duty, and a few others. And the thing about all of those games, and kind of, again, where society is just kind of pushed towards now in gaming, is just instant gratification. So what people do is just run. They just take off and they just die over and over and over and over and over, and then they die, respawn, die again, respawn, die, and it's a nonstop thing. But in Halo specifically, Halo is a game that, again, was not just playing a video game for fun. There was a massive competitive scene around it, with money and sponsorships and all sorts of stuff throughout the life of that, throughout its life, from the first Halo up to Halo 5 and then the new one that's out. But the thing is that in this day and age, you could definitely tell who the better Halo players are, or the veteran Halo players, because Halo is about positioning and decision making, not run and gun and just run nonstop, just sprinting all over the place and just, dying, essentially losing the game is essentially what that means. So what was taught to, veteran Halo players like me, was, of course, the discipline of knowing when to do certain things, being in a certain position in the game, working together as a team, and obviously winning, which is of course, the entire point, and the discipline to not make stupid decisions in the game. Because when you're playing at the highest levels of anything, Like even, I mean, this goes for sports and everything. If you're playing against the highest level of competition, they're going to exploit a bad decision you make, and that it will completely get capitalized on. And so in Halo, that's what would happen. And, one thing that not only just gaming, and again, even more specifically music, and well, even more specifically drumming, what that taught me was, like SJ was touching a lot on composure. What it taught me was the importance of patterns and repetition, the importance of doing the same thing over and over and over. I would play Halo 14 hours a day when I was in school. I would sleep during school, and I would work at Domino's, and I would come home and play Halo literally all night, and then get dressed, go to school, fall asleep in like the first 3 or 4 classes, and that was my sleep. But what was happening during that was not just, oh, it's so awesome, I'm playing a video game. It was the discipline to continue to work on the same functions over and over and over and over and over. Because if I wasn't putting in 12 to 14 hours a day, guess what? The other team was. And so if I wasn't doing that, they were doing that, and we stood no chance. Because again, it was just, the dedication that we had to have towards the game. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to just turn the game off because of frustration, or, again, already been playing it for 10 hours and my hands and eyes are hurting, but having to persevere and push, to continue to push through that. But the point is that it turned it in from just, again, just enjoying and playing a video game to a very strategic game of chess. And that literally one bad decision could then cause a cascade of other problems that then, would essentially make us lose the game. That's how much it would get boiled down to. One bad decision could lead to a cascade of other bad things that start happening that ultimately, can cost you the game, ultimately costing you money and, placement and all of that kind of stuff. But in music, especially with drumming, do y'all all know the song "We Will Rock You"? The boom, boom, psh, boom, boom, psh, right? Everybody knows that. Well, when you're on the drums, for example, imagine the natural inclination that you would have when you're doing the boom, boom, ba to boom, 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 ba, to do something, to add something, because it gets boring just doing boom, boom, psh, right, for like 4.5 minutes straight. So then a person naturally wants to do a bit bit bum pa, bit boom pa. You see what I'm saying? Adding things on, twisting it up, making it different, doing this differently, just again falling out of rhythm, falling out of the pattern, falling out of the repetition. What drumming teaches you, and again, even as with gaming specifically, from my background in it, was again the discipline to do the repetitious actions. As stupid and as redundant as it seems, that's the secret. Because if you want to learn to play a song, so many people, again, like, I don't know if you guys have ever like tried to get not maybe like necessarily like drums, or but guitar or violin or bass or whatever, and you immediately just want to like, oh, no, I don't want to work on a do. You want to play Master of Puppets immediately, and you just want to start just going at it immediately, as if you had been playing guitar or whatever instrument that entire time. And then of course you don't, and you can't, so then it gets discouraging. I don't know if you guys have ever like experienced something like that before, to where the foundation or the fundamentals of things are probably the most important part of, again, learning to play an instrument, playing a video game at a competitive level, or a sport, or trading. The most important things that you will hear from a lot of athletes is, I'm not so worried about trying all these crazy things. It's about mastering the fundamentals and never losing the fundamental approach to things. Because if like a basketball player, if I focus on dribbling and shooting and blocking, again, the fundamentals of basketball, you're that much better of a player, because the people who aren't focusing on, again, the fundamentals are the ones that will end up losing the game, which is the entire point of playing, right? Not to lose, but to not lose is the point of the game. So much so as it is in trading as well, to where, if you guys weren't on my session a little bit earlier tonight, it was one of the things that, again, I always bring up to people, is that the same function that is done in trading to make $5 is the same exact function that is done to make 50 or 500 or 5,000 or 50,000 or any other number beyond that. The only thing that changes is the decimal point, or the lot size, as we all know it. The only difference from a 50 pip trade that makes you $5 from a $50 trade with the same 50 pips is the decimal point moving. That's it. And so imagine, by turning trading into turning it into something that is, again, not so much, again, about I need to make money as quick as possible. It is about reps, conducting the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. There is no hype around that. It's not something that you just wake up immediately excited for, or none of that. Because, I mean, just to keep the numbers simple, what if you were just going for a $5 profit and a $1.50 loss? A 50 pip take profit and a 15 pip stop loss, just to keep the numbers and the math simple. Eventually that goes to $50 or a $15 loss. And then eventually it goes to a $500 win or a $150 loss. And it just scales. Those numbers can, of course, be different. It doesn't have to be 50. It's just always the example that I use. But the other really, really important part that doesn't really have necessarily anything to do with what I have been saying, but another thing about turning trading into a game, so to speak, one of the biggest benefits of that to me, and for what I feel it would be for a bunch of other people as well, is it diminishes the value of each trade mentally, to where you can step away from the trade. You can accept the win or the loss. You can do everything, just becomes easier, like you're lighter, so to speak, because it's a game. And of course, we have frustrations and stuff when we lose a game, but that's definitely a lot different than losing money. And we all know the difference between like getting frustrated by losing a game, or getting very, very frustrated when you take a loss, of like an actual monetary loss. There's a big psychological difference there that the brain attributes value to, one to the other, right? And so, again, by learning to shift trading away from that, it's almost like tricking your brain, as in it's just, it's a game. Either I'm going to win this trade or I'm going to lose this trade. And regardless of the result, obviously, again, I want to catch that 50 pips and make that $5. But even with the worst case scenario, I'm completely wrong and the market goes against me, the most I'll lose is $1.50, which is also okay. That diminishes the value and the importance and, like, again, the weight of the trades. Have you guys taken trades before where you cannot walk away from? Like, you end the trade and then this is you? Oh my Lord. Oh, should I get out? Like what? Okay, it's coming back a little bit. And then there it goes. You all know what I'm talking about. It's babysitting. The reason why people babysit anything like that is because you put too much mental value on it. That this trade, and to be clear, you could be trading in such a way to where you're over leveraging, and that one trade can make or break your account. And that's terrible, of course, in my opinion, but certain people do trade that way. But again, me teaching against that is lowering that value to where if you as a trader now, or even just getting started, if you cannot get in a trade right now, turn your phone off and literally go to sleep comfortably, you're doing this wrong. It's the easiest test in the world to see. Can you walk away completely, mentally, just it does, like, one way or the other, something's going to happen. And by accepting that, um, again, even the worst case scenario, then to me, you're that much closer to truly getting into the philosophy and into the mindset of a trader. Because guys, like Warren Buffett, do you guys think that Warren Buffett is tripping when he gets in a trade? Do you think Mark Douglas is staring at his trades when he gets into a trade? Do you think that any of these like massive traders that, like have written books and all that stuff, none of them are trading that way? So if you, again, cannot comfortably 100% step away, then that attachment, that mental attachment to the outcome is toxic. It's poisonous to you, because then that will start to affect all of your other behavior. You stop sleeping as much. You like not stop sleeping as much, but you won't be able to actually like get into REM sleep, the most important cycle of sleep, because your brain is like, what's going on? Oh, an hour has passed. Oh, like, oh my God, an hour, what's going on? That entire idea, in my opinion, helps, or a lot of that gets rectified again by turning trading into a game. It's just a game, guys. They're just numbers on a screen. That's all they are. And by, again, trading with risk management and trading in such a way to where, again, all of the value of all of these trades, the internalized mental value that we apply to things should go down. You do not want a trade to make or break you ever, because again, the weight and the responsibility of that is, it's a lot, and you just don't ever want to put yourself into a situation like that, right? So by, again, working on the repetition of now coming back to the other point that I was saying, then I'll pass it back to SJ here. But the other part of understanding the repetition of things, and again, the discipline to just, again, conduct the same things over and over. I really, truly, genuinely hope that not your conscious mind that I'm speaking to, but your subconscious mind understands the unsurmountable value that is associated with what I'm saying. Because can you guys imagine how many people that are within the space of trading don't do what we're talking about right now? That do the exact opposite, and again, will have $1,000 in their account, and they are over leveraging on every single trade because they either feel like they need to make that money immediately, maybe pressure from rent or car payments or whatever, are also conducting the type of trading that they're doing, or whatever is causing the human being to, again, trade in that way, is ultimately going to lead to catastrophic results. So the alternative is, again, what if there truly wasn't hype around this? Because do you guys 100% understand that what you do to make $5 is literally what you do to make $500,000? There is no difference other than the decimal point moving. That's it. That is literally the only thing that is different. There is not a single thing stopping a human being from doing that. I can't, imagine if you just worked on that over and over and over and over. I don't care. What if it, and let me ask you, what if that took you 3 years? What if it took you 4 years? The length of a college, like a typical college degree. What if for the next 4 years, all of the trades you take were worth a $5 profit or a $1.50 loss? Are you okay with that? Yes or no? And that's not necessarily a question I want you to answer me or SJ. Be like, yeah, of course it is. No. I'm talking about you as a belief system, because it's not about the $5 profit or the $1.50 loss. It's about what that is going to be later. Does your mind again truly understand what you're actually doing? It is the opposite of instant gratification. It is the opposite of everything we want, because everybody wants it now. But again, there is not a damn thing stopping anybody from turning that $5 trade, not day, not week, not a $5 trading month, what a $5 trade into a $5,000 trade. A trade, risk management. Do you see what I'm saying? Like the how far this can actually go, because guys, there's nothing stopping anybody from doing that. Nothing, no degree, no boss. There's nothing in the way other than that lack of reps and the lack of repetition and the lack of, again, conducting the same functions over and over and over. If, again, your mind truly does see how far and how long this can really go, even if it took you 4 years, imagine what would happen in 10 years. It took you 4 years to get off of the $5 profit, but let's say, no, let's even just say by year 8 years into your trading career, you're going for $500,000 risk management trades. One trade could pay for your entire year. A trade. Do you guys see what I'm saying? One could do that. That's and again, whether it takes you 4 years or 8 years or 2 years, there's no answer to that, because that truly does contend on the person and the version of you that I'm speaking to. But all I can do is just try to paint that path of, if you truly, genuinely understand the value of compounding your time, compounding your efforts, compounding your skill, and compounding discipline into trading, then you tell me what would stop you from year 4, year 5. You're at 4-figure, 5-figure risk management trades. Y'all guys know what risk management trades are? Versus just a $50,000 trade where you're over leveraging 65% of your account on that one $50,000 trade. What if it was a risk management $50,000 trade? It's the same equivalent of a $5 profit or a $1.50 loss. Whether we're talking about a $50,000 profit or a $15,000 loss, the math is the same. Nothing has changed. Really stop and consider how gamifying trading and turning it into how simple that is, and just working on that. What you tell me, what would happen? You just really, again, that's the long haul of Tradehouse. That's the long haul of trading. Those are the people that trade for decades and will always be able to have this skill set. Because guys, imagine with that kind of time freedom and that kind of financial freedom, what you're able to do. Do you want to pursue this or pursue that, pursue traveling, photography, music, whatever? That would unlock everything. That's why I pushed it so far. What if it took you 5 years, not 5 months, 5 years to get to something like that? Is it worth to you? Yes or no? Because if not, the only alternative is a job. Take your pick. Go ahead, SJ.
I love everything that you've just said there, and I can resonate, I suppose, because when I first started this, guys, 2015, my annual income, and obviously like disclaimers here, my annual income was $39,000. And it took me 5 years to make that in one trade. So everything that Mike just said there, that just blew me away too. Because even like I still get excited over like the small trades. But then when you actually make life-changing money and you're in this long enough, guys, where you're giving yourself the opportunity for that to happen, for that to happen, because there's absolutely no difference between, you know, Mike and Rock and Siva and, you know, Jenna or me to you. There's absolutely no difference. We've just been in this a little bit longer. We've taken a few more losses than you, and we've done a whole lot of personal work. That's the only difference. Okay. And with we need to understand, right? The first thing you want to understand about your psychology is your habits are subconscious, right? In fact, 95% of your life runs on autopilot based on the habits of your subconscious brain, that's been programmed in it. Okay. And that's why, like, if you think about when kids, like, I grew up with entrepreneurial parents, right? My dad is a very successful businessman, engineer. I grew up with them building their business from my lounge room. I didn't have parents that had jobs. Okay. So for me, I think I have a bit of a leg up because I was surrounded by that. Okay. Whereas, you know, but it's not what is it, the age 7? Until the age of 7, our brain waves run in theta state. Okay. And those brain waves are much slower, and they you know, they also that's known as the download state. Okay, so you can access your subconscious in this state and start rewiring your brain. This is why, you know, kids can learn things really fast. Okay, but one of the ways that we can create new habits is identify what the habits are that we want to get rid of and replace them with new ones. And the best way to do that is exactly what Mike was just saying. To reprogram your subconscious mind is repetition. You do something enough times, it becomes a habit. Okay. And the important thing there is to create habits that are obviously profitable while cutting down on habits that are not. Okay. So I view, you know, our last, Mike just nailed it. It's the thing that stuck with me from last week's call is he's like, there's psychology and there's no different, there's no trading psychology, right? Psychology is just psychology. And I view trading psychology as a mathematical equation, right? You have to work within your limits. So if you can only handle losing one trade a day and then you stop after one loss, okay, that's fine. Come back the next day. Eventually you'll be able to stay calmer for a longer period of time and handle a lot more, okay? But one of the main things that people do is they over leverage and they over trade. Okay, so this is a math problem once again. If you can't handle the bigger percentages, then cut down your risk and maybe limit yourself to like 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 trades per day. Okay, so you can always change these rules as you evolve as a trader, because your psychology evolves as a trader. Okay, it's like for me being a swing trader, Jenna wants to be a swing trader, but she can't handle the psychology of swing trading. That's why she sticks to day intraday. Whereas, and me, I don't like what Mike does on like the 1 minute, 15 minute. I'm actually liking it a lot better because I'm evolving. But you take me back like a year or two, the 1 minute time frames used to give me like severe anxiety. But now that I'm developing myself as a trader, they don't scare me anymore. Okay, so everything in trading revolves around, you know, revolving around your psychology is a math problem. Okay, and once you can come to terms with that, you can then create your own equation. Okay, because everyone's brains is, you know, everyone's brain is unique and has, you've all got your own strengths, you've all got your own weaknesses. Some people are going to be better at things than you, and that's okay. You're going to be better at things than them. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, now one thing that and I'd like to know Mike's opinion on this, because it is, I don't know if it's controversial or not, but one of my mentors, okay, so I have multiple trading accounts, right? I had my first trading account that I grew to 6 figures way back in the day. I then had my FTMO account, and I've got another one, okay? And one of my mentors taught me that you should have multiple accounts and different sizes, okay? And the psychology around this is large accounts will be obviously like, well, for me, it's my highest probability setups. And that is the one that I use most days, most of the time, okay? However, because this is a, you know, trade, like I just said, this is a trading psychology is a math equation, right? You get to create your own. If you're having a bad week, a bad 2 weeks, a bad month, and you've lost a bit of confidence and a bit of faith in yourself to trade, and you're doubting yourself, because I don't know anyone who doesn't at some point doubt themselves, okay, with trading after a losing streak, and you need to regain a bit of confidence. You go down to a micro account, okay, and whatever a micro account may be to you, you use that, okay. You know, to give you an example, the guy that I'm talking about, you know, he uses like 80 lots on multiple gold positions, okay, and those were normal positions for him. But whenever he had a bad week or a bad trading day, or wanted a break from this, you know, the stress, and give his psychology a break, he would go down to his other account and go down to maybe like, you know, 500s for the day or something like that, until he felt better. And that's what I've also done. So this technique can be used if you're trying out something new in the live market. Like you guys are all like finding your feet right now. And obviously we have a demo account, which my opinion on demo is, you know, demo is there for a reason, right? I was on demo account for 4 months because I literally just didn't have a job that paid me well enough for me to go live. That's why I built the business, and I funded my trading account with the business side, okay? I know Mike, pretty sure he skipped the demo stage. So, you know, everyone is different, right? There's no difference between the two. They look exactly the same. One's just fake money and you can't withdraw, the other's real. Okay, other than that, it looks exactly the same. However, what I have found, my personal opinion, that with a demo account, it's much like, it's like back testing, okay? And it does absolutely nothing for your psychology. Because remember, this game is like 80% psychology. So I keep 3 main accounts for this reason, right? Losing a trade, that means nothing to me. Losing even, you know, $1, right, of real money is, you know, is enough to feel a little bit of pain sometimes. And we've attached, and the reason for that is like someone just said in the chat around, you know, attachment to money. We've attached emotion to numbers, okay? Especially, you know, the colors red, right? But it needs to feel, I believe in trading, it needs to feel real if you are ever going to progress in this game. Okay, now I'm not telling you to use this method. Once again, this is just what I do, and it's what I was taught, and it works pretty well for me. But we really need to emphasize there that, you know, there's not a one size fits all with trading. Like I said, I was on demo for 4 months. Mike missed the demo stage. He likes touching hot stoves heaps of times. Everyone is different, and we can only share from our experience. Okay, you'll have to do the rest. But one of the biggest reasons, you know, people go down to micro accounts is to rebuild the confidence, and that is what I did. I didn't stop trading. I didn't go back to demo when I was having a shit time. I just went to my lower account, okay? I used that to rebuild confidence, not just went back to demo and I'm going to trade on demo for a while, right? Because confidence is linked to dopamine, right? That is that feel-good, happy hormone, which is then linked to, in the trading case, blue numbers. Okay, and cortisol, the stress hormone, that is linked to red numbers. You know, Rutendo just said that in the chat. So as a society, right, we've attached our worthiness to numbers, okay, men especially, okay? And the same way society has shaped, you know, females to feel good or bad about themselves based upon their size or appearance, okay? Exactly the same thing. And but this is just programming that we've achieved, that we've received, sorry, at such a young age. Okay, but as human beings, we're not wired for trading. We're not wired for this. Okay, so when it comes to trading, we need to have, you know, several different types of tools in our little toolbox, in our arsenal, to combat this psychology. So that is how I manage mine. Okay, another great tool that you should understand is you need to program with yourself that not every day is a trading day. Okay, sometimes it's not wise to be in the market. It's like this whole December, I see heaps of people talking about trades in the Discord. I haven't taken one trade. I haven't traded a December in the last 4 years. Okay, I don't need to. I don't even trade the first half of January. Okay, and you need to be okay with missing trades, because you may miss trades, but you'll likely miss more losses than winners if you just sit out in the market when you shouldn't be in it. But the only way you'll ever get, you know, here to where you want to be is by not actually being in every single trade, right? Remember, habits are created through repetition, Do the things you don't want to do until they become a habit. You don't have to be in every single trade. You don't have to trade every single day. And one thing, in terms of like a new thing that I did, and Jason Walls inspired me for this in our trading group, cold showers. Cold showers was the start of me breaking down my brain and teaching it that it was okay to be uncomfortable. Because once your brain understands that it will need to go through you being a little bit uncomfortable, it may then help your brain help you become a little bit more submissive to the changes that you are trying to create. Okay? And it may not be the thing that you want to do, but we all have to do the things we don't want to do to get us to where we want to go. Yes or yes. Okay? So we have to have realistic expectations when we are entering this game. And another tool, I remember Mike back in the day, we would say, I wanted 20% a day or 5% a day, and like it go off daily percentages, and that fucking destroyed me. Okay, we have to have. I remember there was a spreadsheet rolling around, and it was just that destroyed me. Okay, so we have to have realistic expectations when we're in this. So putting any kind of timeline or percentage per week you're going for, personally, is only going to cost you your psychology, because some months are better than others. Some days the market isn't going to be tradable. Okay, I know that this is going to happen a few times a month. So if you put this expectation that you're going for this amount per week, think about what that's doing if you don't get that. Okay, so if I put any kind of expectation on my next week of trading and try to do a specific number, what that's doing to me is I'm putting a lot of unnecessary stress on myself more than anything. And the best thing that we can do is not have any kind of expectation other than just to follow our trading plan day in and day out. Okay? Trading is a systematic, and it can only become profitable if you have a system, which you all have or are developing, okay, by going through our studies. So having this system, that is also going to be the thing that helps build your psychology, because you're going to become routine orientated. If you tell yourself you want to make 20% return per week every week, and it's Thursday and you're only at 5, or maybe you're -5 for the week, you're going to start doing really stupid things out of desperation to meet that goal, right? So you need to disconnect yourself from any expectational outcome. Okay, because like I just said, sometimes the market is better one week than it is the next. So you cannot have the same numbers every single week, right? Like even if you think about like the hedge fund traders, okay? When a hedge fund trader hires a floor trader, right? They look at quarterly and yearly results. They do not give a shit what you do in a week or a month, okay? Anyone can have a bad week or a bad month. What you want to look for is long-term consistency. That's what you're looking for. So you have to build yourself. You're in this for the long haul, right? We are paid to wait. We get paid to manage our risk. We get paid to execute our edge and follow our trading plan over and over and over again, okay? And you will be successful through discipline, right? But just remember, everyone is going to take different amounts to get there. You may take 9 months, Dana may take 6 months, Shane may take, 3 years. But like Mike just said, what is the option? It's this or a job. And once you know what we know, pretty sure to say that a job would make you sick. No, it makes me sick. The thought of a job, the thought of going to a job. Okay, so everyone's situation, everyone's psychology is different. So stop putting limits or expectations on something that is completely out of your control. Okay, because the thing with trading, before I hand this to Mike, the thing with trading, guys, good trading is boring. It's so boring. Like I don't wake up every day and be like, ooh, chart time. Like I don't do that. Like I just get on, I know what I'm doing, and that's all it is. Okay, it should be boring and it should be done alone. Okay, it's not up to anyone else to tell you if your setup is valid. You sending charts into anyone, any server, any Telegram, and saying, what do you think about this? No one else's opinion matters, because what matters is how that trade plays out, and you're going to learn from your trade when it plays out. Okay. Everyone views the market differently. You can trade the exact same system as someone else, look at the exact same chart, and still see a different trade. And that is totally fine. Everyone is wired differently. Taking someone else's trades, okay, or having them, bless yours, give you the big tick of approval is not going to help you at all. Only you can do that, okay? It does not matter what someone else's thinks. Of your trade. I'm doing pretty well with my words tonight. Come on, guys. So, I could write a whole book on this trading shit. But if you want some really good books that I recommend, that's going to help you. And before I hand it to Mike, Outwitting the Devil, obviously, no fucking brainer. Trading in the Zone, Trading Beyond the Matrix, love that book. Becoming Supernatural, really love that one as well. The Light of Egypt, Relentless, Tiny Habits is a good one. The Psychology of Money, and that's relatively new, but it's trending everywhere. I listened to the audio on the way up. And The Compound Effect, all really, really, really great books. Okay, but I'm going to close my bit out. There isn't one thing that you can do to fix all your psychological issues, right? You have to find what works for you. You have to make it a priority. And as long as you are constantly improving as a human, you will progress. It's better to be continuously pushing and improving every single day. 1% better every single day compounded is like $365. $365. 365% a year. Okay? It adds up. So Mike, I don't know if you, I think you missed the start of what I was mentioning, but I was basically just saying that in relation to what you were saying, that trading psychology is literally like, there is no difference. You've got psychology and trading psychology, and it's something that you said a couple of weeks ago, and I really resonated with that because trading psychology is a mathematical equation and you have to work within your limits and what works best for you. So I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
Well, the one book I did want to add for those that have read Outwitting the Devil, Conversations with God. Add that. There's a handful of them, and it's definitely better for the audio on YouTube because it reads like not exactly like Outwitting the Devil, but more of a conversation, and Conversations with God is like the next one. So just to add on to that, because SJ's right, there is no such thing as trading psychology. That's completely ridiculous. That would be like saying that there's music psychology or sports psychology. It's all the same. But the thing I did want to touch on was having the multiple accounts. There shouldn't be a reason why anybody should just have one account, because they should serve different functions. But the thing is that I usually save that conversation for a little bit later because that's a mature conversation, in my opinion. Because for somebody who's new, they'll take that and then think that can enable them to where they can just start going crazy, doing whatever. There's nothing wrong with having an account to where if you guys have the resources and the income to throw money at the wall on an account and see if it sticks. I mean, it is something that is possible with trading. Just to not get it twisted, guys. Yes, you can take an account and make a ridiculous percentage, not like an income claim or anything. I'm just saying that obviously it is possible by definition to do it. And I'm sure a lot of people have experienced it before. But the thing with that is that it requires your ability to turn off one side of you and turn on another without interference from one or the other. Because if you have the main big account and then you kind of start letting this other mentality seep into this, it can cause bad results. In fact, it's not that it will. 100%. So you It's definitely, again, a bit more of a mature conversation. But one thing that SJ said that is definitely very important is that there is no perfect style of trading, guys, at all. There's not. For me, what she was talking about with the spreadsheet, what I use the spreadsheet for is more of when to stop, not so much of reaching the goal, but knowing if the trading is going successful to stop. Because that's my favorite thing about a take profit or things like that, is because people typically don't know when enough is enough. And that applies to all types of habitual behavior. People who drink too much, people who smoke too much, people who sleep too much, people who watch TV too much. Like, people don't know when enough is enough. It's always, well, let's watch one more episode. Let's have one more drink, you know? And having a threshold, I think, is incredibly important for human beings in general. Because if you're up $100, is that enough? Are you up $300? Is that enough? Do you even know? Or is it only just because of your excitement towards the number? Because that's the other thing that SJ said. Everything in life, guys, is a number. Every single thing. And every human being experiences it. How many push-ups can you do? How much do you weigh? What's your phone number? What's your bank account number? What's the number in your bank account? What's your high score in the video game? How many trades have you won? How many miles did you run? Every single thing in life, everything is a number. And by mastery of numbers is, by definition, the numbers do not control you. See, the people that don't lose the weight are the ones that are obsessed with how much they're losing. If you wanted to lose weight, then lose weight. It's not about how much pounds, how many numbers I can, that I can lose. The people that really do lose weight are the ones that are just losing weight, and then whatever that number happens to be is that number that it happens to be. Not, oh, I have a goal of losing 100 pounds, even though, of course, that is a good goal to have, or, as an example. But I'm saying that the ones that really not only just lose 100 pounds, but lose 175 pounds, what they should actually be losing, are the ones that are not a slave to then that's what SJ is saying, is that you become a slave to this 100-pound, 100, that number 100. And then what would typically happen for somebody that does lose 100 pounds is that, I did it. And then all of that weight eventually just comes right back, because they feel like, they did it, and they did. But if you're not going to maintain the result, did you do anything? Did anything really happen? And so, when it comes to trading, guys, this is why I always talk about and by the way, SJ, I know exactly what you were saying, but the thing that's the best about gamifying trading is that, as crazy as this is, guys, and I know that I'm speaking to human beings with emotion, trading should, not only just be boring, it should be redundant. There shouldn't be a sway of emotion one way or the other, meaning that if you allow yourself to get excited over the wins, then you also inadvertently expose yourself to the pain and the anguish and the doubt of losses. You cannot experience one without the other. You're going to naturally be susceptible either way. And so the goal, and again, why, gamifying trading, or just taking it to its redundancy, is because it's indifferent. It doesn't matter what happens. As much as, of course, guys, it does matter. Every one specific individual opportunity that you take in the grand scheme of things doesn't matter. It should be felt that way, where I know, and then obviously plugging in the human side, it's obviously frustrating when you just lose, because then it's not about like the monetary losses, it's about what's going wrong. And usually that can be identified very easily. There's always like a gear that is missing. that can be solved. But that separation of not being frustrated with, again, monetary loss after loss after loss versus repetition of what, something, but something is missing that's causing all of these losses, there is a bigger deviation, which is easier to identify, in the sense that when we are looking at the overall bearing narrative of why we're all even here right now, as opposed to anything else that we could be doing, is for the grand objective of achieving not just financial success, but most importantly, guys, freedom. It's freedom that I feel that all of us are chasing for. But the thing is, and the irony is, and this is something that every individual has to ask themselves, what is the value of freedom to you? How much do you want to wake up whenever you want to, or to go to sleep whenever you want to? How much do you want to be able to pursue passions? Is that worth more than having an easy life? There is a big difference. And there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer, because I can't say, oh, you're an idiot because you would rather have an easier life. Like, who am I to say that? I have no idea who you are, what you've been through. I mean, literally anything. Because again, this is not an answer that anybody else can answer for you. I'm talking about in your brain, in the in the neural network inside of your brain, what has a higher value? What does your brain want? And if you can't necessarily identify that, then you need to identify that. Because the last thing anybody wants is anybody in here wasting your time. And please be clear, it's not like I'm trying to talk anybody out of anything. I'm saying that this is being an adult. This is being mature, and you understanding why, again, you could be having so much struggle becoming uncomfortable. Why can't you surrender to the uncomfortability? What is stopping you? And it could be your brain favoring easy. It could be your brain favoring comfortability. That is a very, 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 very good point that SJ brought up. Because if that's what your brain naturally will put at a higher value mentally, then whatever challenges and the obstacles and the things that inevitably will happen, you'll lose to them. Because your brain will convince itself, no, that's too hard. This is easier. Let's do this. And there you go, following suit. You have to really stop and consider that your brain does control you, but you have the utmost ability to learn how to control your brain and to be able to get to whatever it is that you want. We are not, again, creatures of circumstances. We are the creator of them. But so many people do not understand how to control their minds, because their minds control them. That's what SJ was saying near the beginning of this call, versus reacting to something versus responding to something. When you're talking to somebody, let's say you love, and then you literally start saying something that you immediately regret. You don't even mean it, but you finish the sentence anyways because of ego or pride, or you've already started saying it, so you might as well just double down on it. And the entire thing was caused by a reaction, a chemical imbalance reaction of you saying something that, again, you don't even agree with. That is versus, again, hearing something, thinking, and then responding. It is the difference between your brain in control versus you in control of your brain. Because your brain will fight or flight, react, chemical explosion. That's what the primitive brain is. Like, do you guys have a cat? If you guys have ever been around a cat and you're petting the cat, do you know why they attack you? Have you ever tried to pet your cat's stomach and then it just claws onto you and just starts biting you? Do you know why that happens? It's because it triggers a natural hunting instinct inside of cats. When you pet them in the same place, which is another thing that triggers that behavior from cats, It's because it activates a neural impulse inside of a cat's brain to go straight into instinct, and it just attacks the first thing that it can come into contact with, because that's the way that a cat's brain is designed. This is why, like, wild animals like alligators and crocodiles and tigers and lions, they can't be tamed. There's a difference between domesticated animals versus, again, wild animals. You can have like a level of training and like a level of respect with each other, but there's certain things that you cannot do around a lion. If you do certain things around a crocodile, it doesn't matter if that crocodile has known you its entire life. If you were to pass out, it like, there's like training facilities for, wild animals and stuff. And I happen to watch a few of those YouTube channels, but one of them is a crocodile and alligator trainer. And what he has a couple of them like swimming around him and stuff, and he's petting them, and it likes belly rubs and this and that. But what he says is, if like a branch were to come down and hit him and knock him unconscious, he would die, because it would trigger their instinct. It doesn't matter how long they've known you, how many times you've given them a belly rub or any of that. It's the natural, basic instinct of their brain. They're going to eat you. Just like a big cat would, just like a bear would, just like a walrus would, just like a black panther would, just like any other. That's the difference between a domesticated animal versus a wild animal. But the only reason why I said any of this, guys, is because that is us. We have an animal brain. We have the primitive side of us, and then we have the logical, thoughtful side of us. And both of them have different functions. I like when here. Let me ask you here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, everybody's an adult in here, right? Have you guys ever been having sex and you're thinking way too much, and you're not experiencing the euphoria? You're thinking about everything, so you can't orgasm. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Versus another time where you completely surrender to the experience and it's just pure raw ecstasy. You're not thinking about judgment. You're not thinking about anything else other than the moment. That is the primitive animal side of us. And then when you are not being let's just say, I guess, a good sexual partner or whatever, is when you're thinking about things and you're overthinking everything, and you can't perform. Everybody's an adult, right? You'll all know what I'm talking about. That is the easiest way that I can explain, even in trading or even in any other aspect of life, of surrendering. I love that SJ said that word, surrendering to an experience versus, again, resisting the experience. Because when you resist and think about it and overthink, and then and all that starts happening, it all collapses and it will all just fall apart. And that goes obviously beyond the bedroom. That's in every single aspect of life. So by, again, learning to surrender to the outcome of trading is, again, by allowing the experiences to flow, by allowing these things to happen to you, not attaching or overthinking or doubting yourself or becoming euphoric or any of that with the thought side of the brain, because it will run a million miles an hour and it will not stop thinking. You'll think about this and you'll think about what I could have done differently, and what went wrong, what went right, just that. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, versus, again, experiencing in that moment, just like what a primal, like a wild animal would do. This is why I said that both functions of the brain in that regard are useful for different functions. Like, so again, especially in trading, by becoming just, again, indifferent to the entire experience, then again, it absolutely should unlock trading in a way to where it is easier, it is lighter, it is not as oppressive, and there's not as much pressure on you. It's like, again, alleviating that. And I think that that's what we should be taking away from this call is if you are allowing the pressure to get on, to attack you, that's when you get to that point to where you get into a trade and you cannot walk away from it because you're overthinking and you're doing all of these bad, habits. By again accepting that you were in a trade and accepting that an outcome is going to happen, right or wrong, up or down, red or blue, black or white, it's okay. And the quicker and the more times that you do that, the easier trading will get. And that's the last thing I want to leave you guys with. So SJ can finish up, is the more times that you conduct this function, guys, the easier it becomes later. It's very, very hard to drop a behavior. It's very hard to drop a habit, to again stop doing something. But what is it, like 17 or 27 days of trying to break a habit or whatever it is, your brain eventually again shifts completely away from it because you have again truly gotten away from the behavior. Same thing in trading. The more times that you do the things that you're supposed to be doing, the next time it gets easier. Then the next time it gets easier to where it becomes second nature, to where, again, this attachment to result, this attachment to ego, this attachment to, again, the responsibility, or the attachment to, again, all of these things, again, should definitely start to dissipate in a way to where you again understand what we're doing, which was what I was talking about with, again, the same function, the reps, doing the same reps over and over and over, and your brain, again, lowering the value and the importance of each individual trade you take and becoming indifferent to the outcome. Meaning that, of course, we always want to win. We definitely don't want to lose, but either way, it doesn't matter anyways. Because again, this pressure should be taken off of you and just surrender to that uncomfortability, and it'll get easier. I'll go ahead and pass it back to you, SJ.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reading the chat to see if there's anything other than my bullshit in there. Daddy Mike, that's your name.
Oh my God. Come on, guys. Come on.
Daddy.
We're adults.
Yeah, but you've got the most immature adult on the call with you, so.
I guess so.
I was in college.
I use sex as an example because everybody knows that. That's the reason why. It's everybody can understand it.
Except Brittany. Brittany doesn't know.
Unless there's a virgin in here. I doubt it, but if not, or I guess if so, then maybe that wasn't the best example.
No, we like to have a joke, guys. So if you are new and never been on these calls, welcome. You never know what you're gonna get. Right. So that was just before we finish, in terms of like another psychological thing. We always talk about not having like red and green candlesticks, right? Like one of the other things that may help you if you're new is changing your candle colors to something more subtle. Like mine is blue and white, okay? But if you think about the color red, especially, the color red is like the most visible color on the planet, okay? So that immediately elevates your heart rate and causes stress. So you may not feel it, but there's a little bit there, I promise you. There's a reason that, lights are red, stoplights, stop signs are red, emergency vehicles use red lights. It's quite interesting. But and to wrap this up, guys, if something is important enough, you're going to find a way to figure this out, okay? If not, you're going to find a million excuses. We can literally talk to the cows come home about this, but if there's one thing that I can say, if you are new, like kicking off this year, is that consistency and hard work is the one thing that's going to outwork talent and intelligence almost 100% of the time. As cliche as that sounds, it's true. Okay, if you show up every day and you put in the work, you will get there. Okay, and we say it every week. Trading is the hardest way of making easy money. Okay, but think about it. How hard is being broke? Right? Being broke is fucking hard. Okay, saying no to the things that you want to do is hard. Like, how does that make you feel when you can't do something because of, a lack of time or a lack of finances. Okay, how shit does that feel? Creating the habits that you need to become wealthy is also hard. But you guys have to choose your hard. So what are you going to choose? Choose your hard, guys. Why green? I don't know, Shani. Green's my favorite color, so you can have green if you want. But choose your hard. Is being broke, being miserable, having no time, going to a job that you don't even like, is that worth it? Or is putting the hard yards in? Like I said at the beginning, after Mike spoke, it took me a good couple of years to make my annual income in one trade. And when I did that, it blew my fucking socks off. It's gonna take time. But what is the option? So think about that when you're going through this year with your trades. Keep showing up, keep following the blueprint, keep asking questions. These moving forward, the next couple of calls, I would love to take it back to a couple more conversational ones where you guys unmute yourself and we chat. We really love those calls back in the day. So just knowing that it's Shani, you inspire me weekly with your messages and how committed you are. So Shani and I used to work at a pub together about 10 years ago. Used to be little pub rats on the Sunshine Coast. And look at her now, getting out of her comfort zone. Guys, thank you so much. Mike, so good to be back running these calls with you.
Yes, it is.
It feels so good, doesn't it? I know it's
it feels right.
It does feel right, doesn't it? Just like the birds and the bees.
God.
I love you guys. Thank you for being here with us. Maybe won't upload this onto YouTube, but we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Children everywhere.
I'll have to put like a little, is this safe for children? No, it's not. All right, guys. Oh, there she is. Little kitty. All right, legends. Hashtag Daddy Mike is going to be a thing right now. We will see you next week. If you have any questions, any topics, please bring them to us. We'd love to help you and serve you in any way that you need it. Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful night.